listening to the Questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the Questionnaire.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The Questionnaire.
Get your Comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
Hey, remind them about my competitive rates on any merch business. Yeah, or any quest you might want to endeavor on, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is the Questionnaire. I am the Unknown Factor, a.k.a. that Wade Wilson of hip-hop, but, as usual, we ain't getting into hip-hop today. We might touch on a little bit of music, funnily enough, though, but we'll get into that in a moment, right? For right now, I want to bring in someone who's helped make this show look so much better in so many different ways. I can't even say it. Every time I say it, I think she's like, will you just shut up about it? But whatever. Shiro, you killing it.
Damn right I am.
Yeah. She is. She's like, got this nice layout right here. Got all kinds of cool things going on. Flyers looking better. I need to get on getting her information for other things so I can get edited. Thankfully, after this particular quest, I'm taking a little time off that y'all won't notice because that's how we do things over here at the Quest. I don't even know when this season's going to end. We're still on season 2. It might never end, man. It's a hit. We like to monkey around. And for that, we got Kevin Mellon with us. Yeah, how you doing, man?
Doing good. You definitely did get a good one there on the intro there with the monkey. So yeah, nice.
I try, man. I try. That's why I asked that question in the pre-show that y'all can check out on the Patreon. Just $2, or you can just become a member. Check out all the answers that Kevin gave us on his pre-show questionnaire, as well as everybody else on season 2 for just being a member. I'm working on season 1. I'm trying to get all this stuff straightened out. What can I say? Right? But in that particular pre-show, man, we're having a very intriguing conversation that has happened to some effect in a lot of ways over here in the Questionnaire, which is the number ones. And it's there's been many levels of that, but I think you in the pre-show questionnaire made what I find to be a very interesting point, Kevin, is the fact of the amount of exposition that you find in number ones.
Yeah.
And there's always more exposition in number one. Now,
yeah, by definition, you have to sell people on the thing that you're doing, and it's a tough balance because you know, as a writer artist myself, it's a constant struggle between getting people to emotionally invest in what you're doing, and then also go, yeah, fuck yeah, I want to keep reading it. I already ruined the rule, so yeah, hell yeah, I want to keep reading this. And it's tough because, like, we were talking about a recent slate of big 2 number ones that have come out, and I have no problem getting into it specifically if you want to, but I can say that there's like another example of a number one that does a lot of exposition up front, but I thought was pretty successful is the new Kieran Gillen book, The Power Factor. I could be saying the title wrong, but it just came out. There's like whatever, and it's a lot of exposition up front. But it's interesting in that I read it and didn't feel the weight of the exposition dragging me down as I was reading it. So when it got to the reveal of what was happening and who the power players in this world are that make you want to keep reading, it did make me go like, oh, I want to keep reading this. Maybe it's called The Power Fantasy. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. But anyways, it's I don't have the book here with me. It's in my studio, but go, you know, whatever. But we were talking about all these number ones from you know, screw it. I'll just say we were talking about all these number ones recently from Marvel, and my biggest issue that I have with most of them that I've been reading is these number ones are also oversized. So they're anywhere from like, you know, 24 to like 30, 40 pages, whatever. And I'm sitting here reading 10 pages going like, nothing has happened other than talking heads. And that is a problem for me as a comic book fan because, and I'm going to bring it up and maybe some people will get salty about it, but Rob Liefeld recently like made a cameo that was bought as a joke. I mean, I mostly just thought you were drinking it because you like had done some time and you're like, this is what I got used to when I was in prison. So that's how you drink, you know?
Not during the
back to Rob Liefeld. I don't know.
You were getting on some scissor. That's what you're doing, you know?
No, see, that's why I got that for halfway through the show.
Oh, nice.
Oh, things
getting
are
on that lean. Getting on that lean. I mean, and you think I don't have a hip hop connection? Come on. Now let's get back to talking to Rob. recently. So let me do a clap in for your editing.
I'll do it.
Getting back to talking.
No. Whatever you don't even know when I edited that in. I'm just gonna look. I'll take a drink of this. Right. We're already back on the show. I don't know when I started it. That's neither here nor there. All right. I do what I do because hopefully everyone out there finds that the points that I cut into the show are entertaining. Should we just make it more entertaining? Should I go ahead and take NyQuil?
Hey,
we did
let's
say
take a
before
shot
the
every
show,
time.
Jay was
Take
like,
a shot every
I'm
time we
sick
say
and I'm going to be
Liefeld.
on
There you go.
Dayquil and NyQuil. And I said, how am I going to tell the difference?
I had the not COVID, but I had the very low grade flu like earlier in the year, and I was just gobbling up everything Quill in the house. Aside from Peter Quill, I left him alone. He was fine, but it was one of those things where I very quickly came to the realization that I am just a giant baby. And I can't handle pain at all. And I was just like, I just want to sleep, so yeah.
That's the look. The funny thing is I think 2-3 days before I got sick, I built a new bookshelf because the bookshelf I had, it had moved quite a few times since this quest
On
started.
its own?
And I gotta hope not. I don't know, maybe. Well, there was actually one incident where it fell off a porch, and I don't know what the whole story behind that was. But my point is, if you look at the past episodes, like even the one before this, you should see this shelf just kind of leaning a little like that. But this is a new shelf, so it ain't got no lean now. But in the process of putting that
With
together,
the-
But
at one
you
point,
got
animation.
sick and you bought the NyQuil and you've got all the lean. So yeah, you're good.
I mean, I guess that's the way it went. But as far as on pain, dude, like, yeah, dude, when it comes to this, I'm like, my brain feels like it's about to ooze out of my ears to give me Dayquil. But when I was putting that shelf together at one point, I was putting the other shelf and I adjusted it a little bit. And one of the top shelves, like I was sitting, it fell, conked me right in the head. Right? And I was like,
Nothing
ow.
of value was lost.
Like, ow. And I mean, that's definitely true. But, at the same time, I'm just like, ow. And I'm sitting there like, when it comes to that, like that kind of like physical, it's just like, oh, that was annoying. But this, Kevin, I can relate. Yeah, I'm gonna go curl look, I was about this far away from rescheduling, but I was like, I don't reschedule quests. Quests must. This is
No, I would have understood, but I think if anything, it definitely sounds to me like we're having fun. And so we keep going until it's not fun anymore, which is either you fall out of your chair and pass out, or
Oh no, that's going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
We had someone fall off his chair and hurt himself real bad.
Oh God, why is NyQuil
Was
so
it-
much worse than Dayquil?
Was it a 90s comic artist?
Oh, Scott Wojak.
Oh, okay.
He's okay.
That
That's
was
what we
not
can
who-
laugh.
That is not who I was going to say. That is not who I was going to say. So, okay. Cool.
He completely wrecked his foot walking into a door. Like he ripped the muscle. Yeah. And then and based on that, he doesn't do, because he does the show from his basement. He's like, hey man, I can't co-host tonight. I was like, yeah, that's all good. Then Aaron Reynolds, who was on that night, does Effing Birds. I don't know if you know him. He's a good guy.
Name sounds familiar.
Yeah, like I said, he does Effing Birds.
Yeah.
We had a conversation. He's like, why can't you do a podcast just because you got an injured foot? And then I swear, like 2-3 days later, me and Scott's chatting, and we're just like kind of BSing, but I was recording it because we were talking some show promo and this and that. And kind of, I
Right.
still had to get some of that out. And then literally he falls out of his chair, and I still need to release the reel. I'll try and have it out by the time we drop this particular quest, so y'all out there can go and check that. Like, it's like a minute and a half reel where Scott falls at the very end of it. But I cut it kind of short because you could see he was in pain. Like, and
Yeah,
he said he covered it. So we've even had people injured over here on a quest. So I'd have felt like a sissy if I called off just because I had a cold.
What I'm finding out is you're more Jerry Springer than Maury Povich.
Yeah.
I don't remember ever watching like Maury Povich. What is like? I know the name.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
His personality is
Springer,
a little
though-
bit Mr. Rogers, but his guests are still Jerry Springer.
Yeah, Maury Povich was very much like condescending and let's have a talk, Dad. And Jerry Springer was more like sit back, like I'm your stepfather. You're gonna fucking do what you're gonna do, you know. So yeah.
I mean, I just kind of let things roll over here because I feel that's the best way. I mean, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't.
You might actually be I forget the name of the bodyguard, but there was a bodyguard on Jerry.
Oh,
There was the bald guy. Come on, Shiro, help me out.
shoot.
You know who I'm talking about. He might actually be more of that, where he's just like, you want me to tag in? You don't want me to tag in. Okay, I have to tag in.
Steve Wilkos.
Oh, his name is Steve too. Okay, yeah.
Wins
All right,
again.
yeah. Steve Wilkos. Yeah, good job. He had his own show for a little bit.
Oh,
Sadly,
God.
it didn't last very long because it wasn't any good without the Jerry dynamic. But yeah.
All right. Well, I don't need nobody throwing no chairs on the quest. If it ever does happen, I hope it's at like a live panel and we're like sitting down with like 6 or 7 artists.
No,
And
you
for some
gotta
reason-
you gotta get some saucy people going up on stage
I
and
would
an
do
energetic
Canadian
audience.
Crimes to be on a live panel.
But
I would
who?
need a booster seat,
Canadian
but-
crimes are sad and depressing. You don't want to know. You don't want to do Canadian crimes because it's all who murdered the indigenous people that we uncovered in the ground here. So no, we don't want to do that.
Okay, let's just settle for the Quebec crime I'm doing right now and speaking only in English.
Yeah.
I am not kidding. I am serious. I am doing a crime right now because I'm not translating everything I'm saying. I'm serious.
This broadcast is based out of America, Shiro, in all rights. I don't feel like they could prosecute in that regard.
Oh, they
That's
can't.
fair.
I'm not scared of that.
No, they can't. No, they can't. But honestly, I mean, Shiro does make and you both make an excellent point about their weird laws of what they will come after people for. So yeah. Anyways, my point about Liefeld, picking up on that. Hold on. For the edit, in case you need to make it, but is
No, dude, I left
he-
a bunch of that
he-
in. I don't know when, but yeah, back to Liefeld.
No, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do. He recently was, for lack of a better term, conned into making a cameo for John's birthday by Chip. And Chip is Chip Zdarsky. And Chip said, hey, my buddy John wants to make a comic book. What do you have some rules about writing comics that can help John? This was for Jon Hickman. It was all very funny. And Rob's response was very impassioned and very literal, as it should have been, because Rob is very impassioned and very literal. But here's the thing. They made a joke and they made kind of like a little bit of fun of the dude. And no issue with any of this. I think all of it is life is a stage. But the thing that I got out of it was Rob said some stuff in there that really crystallized a lot of what my issue with these current number ones and honestly most comics in general that I've been reading. And I read a lot. I read comics. Like I buy them. I go to the store. I don't read a lot of Big Two, but I've been checking out Big Two stuff as it happens, especially when they do new stuff. But even when I'm reading indie books, what I'm about to say still applies. Rob came out with this like 7-8-7 rule of like you open with an action scene of 7 pages that sets up the conflict, sets up like the dynamics of like the team and what they're against. Then you do like 8 pages of like exposition, setting up building the world, building the conflict and the people even more, and then another 7-page sequence of like, we got to fight to get the fuck out of this. How are we going to get out of this? And bam, issue is done. That's for a 22-page audience, of course. We're living in we've been a decade into the 20-page audience. So it's obviously the math is going to adjust how it needs to. But that's the thing that I'm lacking I'm lacking this interesting conflict at the beginning that brings me into, sorry if I'm burp hiccuping into your microphone while I'm saying this, but that initial conflict, each issue, not just the number one, but each issue that says, why do we care? Here's why we care. How are we going to fix it? Oh, fuck, we can't fix it. Next issue. You know what I mean? Like there's so much of that that's missing overall from I read image books, dark, like Boom and like Sumerian, like there's all these publishers that are making amazing shit right now. But it's overwhelmingly the common problem that I have, and something that somebody may read something that I put out in the next like year that's like, dude, you're totally guilty of what you were mad about. And I'm like, willing to accept that because it's a tough problem to solve, but it is a huge problem. And the overwhelming majority of stuff that I'm reading that is especially number ones from big publishers, it's easy to say big too, but it's a common problem. Everybody has the same problem, is that problem of like, dude, you're not even hooking me in the first like 7 pages. Why do I care about the rest? We need to care about the rest. And it's something that as a writer and as someone, I have a graphic novel coming out like from Z2 this fall that I'm hoping, like, I engineered the first 10 to 12 pages of that book to be like, hey, read the rest of this because this is why you're going to care. That doesn't mean they will. And that doesn't mean that I did a good job at it, but I was very, very careful to, at least emotionally, with what happens to the character and what happens to the plot, for lack of a better term, is something that makes people want to keep going. But I also understand that like maybe I didn't nail it, it's such a nebulously hard thing. But it's concerning to me that the amount of books that I'm reading that are first issues are just 20 pages of exposition and then maybe 6 to 10 pages of action at the beginning and stuff like that. And you only really, as someone who is a creator and a writer and an artist and all that, the biggest place to emotionally invest people in what you're doing is the first 10 minutes. And the easiest example I will tell you of that is Pulp Fiction. What's the first 6 minutes of that movie? We're gonna rob this place. Holy shit, it's a fucking robbery. What happens after that? You know what I mean? Like, and that's not the best example, but that's an example. You need to hook people with those. Like, they spend 4 minutes talking about it, a previous robbery, and then they go, are we going to do it? We're going to do it. And then when they do it, you're like, I'm in. I don't care what happens after this. I'm in. And we need more of that.
So do you think, because I would say that Quentin Tarantino has always had a way about doing that in his films. Now, mind you, if you look at Quentin Tarantino's films, he's able to pull that off because of the structure of them. You bring up the robbery scene within Pulp Fiction. Those are 2 real minor characters within Pulp Fiction as far as that are having that conversation. Now, mind you, Tim, what's Tim? Come on, what's the actor's name?
Tim Roth.
Tim Roth, yeah, good. Brilliant. 4 Rooms, love it. Reservoir Dogs, love it. So there are other films you can see him and you can see his level of acting and the fact of what that man is capable of. And I think that plays a lot into that particular scene.
That is an important thing to note, is the what's on the page and what the authorial intent is versus the execution. So that is important. That is important to note. So I have not read the scripts for any of the number ones that I've been reading. So all I see is the post-created authorial intent, which is when you're reading, for lack of a better example, just something that we talked about in the Patreon, that is the new Wolverine that's out. Wolverine, what'd you say it was? Wolverine Reckoning? Revenge. I already forgot the name on because the book's not in front of me. But sorry,
Revenge.
Yeah, Wolverine Revenge. Yeah. This is what happens when I leave things in one place and then come to another to do these things. So I don't have it in front of me. So I already forgot. And I got the bloody version. Like, it's fine, like whatever. The thing is, though, is like, I have not seen Jon's script for that. I am not privy to John and Greg's conversations over the phone, over the internet, as to what they wanted to do. What I am privy to as an audience, as you hack away, please give that lung to science. I think it's done.
Are you seeing me trying to hold? Well, excuse
Yeah,
me,
no,
y'all.
you're good. You're good. It mostly just looks like you're trying to vape while we're talking, but you're not.
I'm
so-
not. I'm trying not to
He's
hack a
trying to
lung up.
breathe.
You're fine. You're fine. No, you're fine. I'm calling you out to make fun of you to make it more entertaining. But the thing is like I'm not privy to those scripts and those conversations. What I can react to is the only thing that anyone will react to in perpetuity, which is the finished work, which is the thing that as someone who writes and draws something, I have to understand that nobody knows nobody cares what I intended. No one gives a crap what I intended. What only exists is the thing that you are reading in the moment you're reading it and how you receive it based on your lived experience and the information you have going into it. So all I can do is try to influence that as much as possible. So when you give me 20 pages of exposition trying to set up something that happened previously, and then give me like 6 pages of action and then more pages of exposition, and this is not on John or anybody else. I'm just talking very, very obliquely about the trend I'm seeing. It makes me sad. I'm sorry that all that word vomit but it makes me sad. It makes me sad
It
for the
ended in
medium. It makes
depression.
me sad for how people are expressing themselves. It makes me sad for whatever editorial mandates are going on. It just makes me sad.
Oh,
So.
I love how all of that just ended in depression, Kevin. Awesome. Thanks. Like, seriously,
I
man.
don't want to be sad about this. I don't. And I think there's a lot of amazing stuff about these big two books. There's amazing stuff. There's amazing art. There's amazing there's amazing craft going on that is at a level that like people don't understand. The general layperson thinks they know how a comic is made, and they do. We've told them over the last 30-40 years how it's made. That doesn't mean they understand how it's made because they're not inside our minds while we're making it, and so there's a disconnect there. But at the same time, they have superior access to how we're making these books, which I love, which I think is great. The downside is you can't control how they view how you think you're making your how they think you're making your book. So we don't know, to use the Wolverine example, it was a perfectly fine issue of Wolverine like murdering the shit out of some stuff, and there was a bunch of blood and violence and all that. Totally fine. We don't know the conversations that went on towards that. I can only semi-reverse engineer it, going like, okay, my creator brain goes like, I'm Greg Capullo going like, I want to draw Wolverine like murdering some dinosaur. I want to draw Wolverine doing this. I want to draw Wolverine getting exploded. I want to draw, Nick Fury doing this, whatever. Don't know.
I want to draw it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we don't know that. What we can do is, as an audience, both creatively and non-creatively, is sit there and go like, did I like this? Did I enjoy this? Was this satisfying to me? And even if it wasn't satisfying, can we go, it wasn't satisfying in a way that makes me go, I want more because this is unsatisfying and I want them to satisfy me. There's so much that goes into that. Yeah.
No, and you're right, man. I mean, because look, I read me a nice little stack of comics today, and I mean, I can think of several that followed the exact medium that you're referring to. I think, and it's funny because I think of the ones that really stuck out to me that I read today, and I don't think they did, whether it was Rat City by Erica or whether it was Alex with the Dick Tracy that they're putting out from Mad Cave. But if you look at the
I
entire,
heard about the new Dick Tracy, but I haven't checked it out. So yeah, I need to check that out.
I would recommend it, man. Alex is killing it as far as the story. I really dig it. And I need to pick up his books that he's put out, I swear, just from the stuff I've read from what he's done in comics. But
sorry, just to make sure, we are talking about Segura, right?
yeah, Alex Segura.
Yeah,
Sorry, Eric
yeah.
Scholl. Yeah,
I have. I'm gonna be totally honest. I have not read his novels either. I've only read his comics output. So,
what is it? Identity. I want to say Crisis, but that is not right.
Yeah.
I know it's not right. Is
no,
it right?
it's not. It's not. But yeah, he's been prolific in that arena, and the thing. So, like, to totally tangent and deviate, like I moved back. I was in Atlanta for. Sorry if I keep tapping my microphone here. I was in Atlanta for 12 years working in TV and animation and stuff like that. But I just moved back not quite a year ago, probably about like 10 months ago. I moved back to Kansas City, having been raised here and born here, moved back here. My partner is here. She's, living in her house now, stuff like that. Whole point being, like, it took me a couple months, but I finally we live literally next to the library. And it took me a couple months to actually like go and get a library card and do all that. And I did all that. And then it took me another couple months to actually go and check out books. I checked out books and movies from the library for the first time since living here, like literally like last weekend. Like I was just like, oh, like, why have I not been doing this? And I checked out some graphic novels, some actual prose novels. I checked out some movies that I hadn't seen, whatever. Oh crap, I already lost my point of where I was. Oh, but Alex's books are on my list to check out, and I found it a good thing that when I went to go find them, they were checked out, and I had to do a wait list. So that was nice. Like I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, yeah.
Fully agree. But to flip back to what we were discussing initially, I'm wondering, do you think the exposition, especially in the number ones, is caused by the fact of how much the graphic novel has become a different part of the market within comics compared to like how it was in the 90s? Because obviously and clearly the graphic novel part of the comic book market is way bigger and by far different than it was 20 years ago.
I pause and sigh and do a heavy sigh because you might be right, but I also don't agree. So there's a bit of a 50-50 there.
Fight.
Yeah. No, Shiro, you're right. Yeah,
hey, I'm
Shiro.
sick, man. I'm going away.
If only we could do like a XXY, like up down, So yes, probably about anywhere from 50 to 60%, depending on what day it is, and also depending on the book. But also, the majority of the audience is people in our age range who are still somewhat Wednesday warriors. So no.
Do you think then perhaps they think that way because they're trying, like, look, you're currently directing season 2 of Hit Monkey, right? Which is a Marvel property.
I mean, it's done, it's out. So yes, I have
directed. Oh,
yeah.
It totally is out. Okay, so it's totally out. You can check it on Disney Plus.
Hulu. Disney Plus, yes. Hulu and Disney Plus. Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
There are too many streaming services. Sorry, I knew it was out there.
Hey,
but
you're telling me.
Yeah,
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
Look, we can get
living in a household where my girlfriend's children want to watch something, and then we have to navigate which of the streaming services is this on. So
right,
yeah. It's a thing.
It's harder than just switching the channels, because at least with the regular cable, like you got a guide at some point. Because with the
guide is going to Google and being like, where is this streaming, and do I currently pay for this right now? So yeah, or do I need to do it the other way?
Yeah.
All right, let's go with that. Look, so
excuse me, I might have a bit of.
I'm passing my COVID on via Skype. It's really impressive. It's a new strain. Yeah. What can I say? Right.
Yeah.
But back to Hitmonkey. You're taking a character that is by far a lesser known character within the Marvel universe. I
Oh.
doubt. Yeah.
Much to our, honestly, like the thing that like I always tell people is much to our benefit. Nobody knew who the fuck this guy was. Sorry. Nobody knew who the hell this guy was
Oh, much better.
because there was 4 issues and maybe a couple of appearances in some other one-shots and annuals, like whatever. There
Well,
was not a
hey.
lengthy...
Well, no, he had a fairly lengthy interaction with Deadpool at points within the Deadpool Corps.
It was a couple issues. It was not
Yeah.
lengthy. It was just
okay,
a
fair
couple
enough.
issues.
I read a lot of Deadpool, man, and the monkey and the Deadpool interactions
No, I
were
agree.
hilarious.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, we're not talking about like multi-arc, multi-year runs. We're talking about there was the 4-issue origin story, and then the couple of like issue appearances that happened. So we're so what I'm going to break down for you though right now is something that I haven't talked about a lot, which is interestingly. So I went to the Joe Kubert School of Cartoon and Comic and Graphic Art, and I was there from 99 to 02. Weirdly, in my class, a bunch of us came up with a concept, a bunch of us meaning like 3 to 4 of us, came up with the concept of a monkey wearing a gas mask that was an assassin. And so we drew pages of this monkey assassin killing people, and just for fun, like they would it would show up in assignments. Hitmonkey there was no existence of Hitmonkey at that point. So it's interesting to me that in 2000, 2001, 2002, I am doing these pages with my buddies for fun about this assassin monkey that then 20 years later, 2019, 2020, I'm getting tasked with directing on a show about an assassin monkey. Like, so anyways, the point being, like, to step it back into what we were actually talking about, Hitmonkey himself like had so little backstory that all of the backstory that actually mattered, and this is no offense to Daniel Way or I'm blanking on the artist who drew it, which is terrible of me, so totally call me out on this, but no offense to them, but what they did in the first origin issues, we did in episode 1. So the writers had to come up with an actual story for the Ghost character, for what Jason Sudeikis is Bryce. Sorry. Hiccups, vomiting.
Boo.
No vomiting, I'm kidding.
Well,
Just
that's
hiccups.
understandable, though.
But for Jason Sudeikis' character of Bryce, to actually have an arc and have a meaning, they had to actually manufacture that because he's so underrepresented, for lack of a better term, that this total of like 4 to 8 issues worth of material needed an actual story and needed an actual arc and all that. And I think that's the interesting thing about what we did with season 1, and especially what we did with season 2, is most of, like, I would say 90% of it does not exist in what was presented in the Marvel comics. That is neither good nor bad. It just is a thing. What it did was it allowed us the space to make a show that functioned in a realm that you don't often get in these licensed character opportunities, which is you have people who don't have much expectation. Like, they don't have any expectations of like again, to use the thing that's in front of our faces right now, Deadpool and Wolverine. I watched that movie and I loved the shit out of it, but I also realized, like, there is no there. There's no story there. What I'm reacting to is oh fuck, I've been a Deadpool fan since issue 266, whatever his first appearance was in that annual and all that stuff. Like, that was shit that I was getting as a child. So when Channing Tatum shows up as Deadpool, like, I'm fucking bobbling like a baby. Like, I'm crying because I'm
hold
like,
on.
Yeah.
When Channing Tatum shows up as Gambit, I'm sorry, I had to.
Sorry. Oh, fuck. I'm sorry. Oh, my God. I just said Deadpool twice, so it was in my brain. So when Channing Tatum shows up as Gambit, like, I'm crying like a baby in the theater, like, by myself. It's just me and my girlfriend, like, and we're just watching this, and we're both having these emotional moments because she cares about other characters, and I care about, like, you know, seeing, like, Gambit and all that. Like that sort of thing is 30 plus years in the making, because we haven't been. It's, you want to talk about fan service, the ultimate fan service, you know. But the other side of that is sitting there going, like, these characters live inside of us to a certain degree, but also knowing that, like, with a character like Hitmonkey, there isn't that 30 plus year history. So we are creating that history. We are creating that for people, and if they enjoy it, like, we are the Claremont Silvestris, we are the Claremont Gimlis, we are the Claremont Portasios. You know what I mean? Like if they're not, if it's not catching now, I don't care if people even give a shit that I directed any of it. Like the thing is like, we're adding to what people who are coming to it for the first time are gonna sit there 10 years from now going to be like, that fucking show, you know, like that sort of thing. And I don't know that this is a very long spiel for me, so I apologize, but I don't know that people at Marvel and Hulu and 20th Century even understand that or care about that. But that's the thing that lives in my heart when we talk about this stuff, and when I talk about this show, is sitting there going, like, I can sit here and talk to you about Uncanny X-Men 266. Nobody caring about Gambit right now understands that, other than they want Gambit and they want Channing Tatum. But I'm sitting here going, like, no, I've spent the last 30 years of my life wanting this character to be served appropriately and in a way that is respective to what I understand, which is also why I understand when people get mad about, quote unquote, incorrect, bad, whatever representations of their favorite characters on screen. I also don't get mad about it, because I sit there and go, like, hey, not for me. Wasn't made for me. It was made for an audience that is younger from me, different from me, all that. So, yeah.
And look, firstly, I got to say, man, I think that's very important to realize, as far as within that these films that they're taking these properties from, sometimes they're not made for the people that enjoyed the properties initially. They're made for the mass, as big a market as possibly can be,
Yes.
especially with the corporations behind them. That, you know, Disney's not trying to get 10,000 people watching a film. They're trying to get 100 million watching a film. This is how Disney works. That's just how that is. Now, I do have to say, Kevin, sure, there was a ton of fan service in Deadpool and Wolverine, but I feel, as a fan of Wade Wilson for a very, 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 very long time, and someone that sits here and goes, I am the Wade Wilson of hip-hop, I think they gave a great Wade Wilson story, in the fact that it was a man that's like, look, I just want to be the hero. I just want to be the hero. But nobody wanted to let him be the hero, because he's kind of a screw up in a lot of ways, you know, even though he's trying as hard as he can to be the hero. I think that was the important story that I think to a certain degree gets lost within all of the fan service, that people complain about they got what they wanted. We won't go into that. I think it's really funny that people got what they wanted, and then it's one of the main complaints about that film. But whatever.
No, I don't think I don't think there's anything negative about anything that you're saying there. Like, I think that the people getting what they wanted and the people getting fan service, and then the people being frustrated by that fan service is all valid. The one thing I would say is
I gotta make chops sometimes, because sometimes we get into things over here on the Quest. Sometimes they're even.
It's my fault. It's my fault.
Sometimes,
I
hey,
did the
hey,
thing.
look,
And
it
I did
always
the
is
thing
the creator's
that made
fault.
them have to do the thing, and now we're doing the thing.
It's always the creator's fault. They always say something that I'm not supposed to put out because it's either time sensitive or they shouldn't have said it because it'll hurt somebody's feelings. And I'm like, I come from the hip hop side of things. Why are we concerned about feelings?
There's those of you who've watched this show, and I don't say this lightly, I don't say this easily, and I apologize in advance, but it's Shiro's fault.
It's always my fault. Blame the kid. I mean, it always is, but still.
But
because I don't do anything.
So
I don't
we've
do it
actually, though,
moderation.
in our conversations with Shiro, in our HR meetings, we and I'm new to the HR to this, because I have a limited contract of like whenever this interview ends, but I have been given the important status of Shiro in the fact that it's Shiro's fault when we ask questions. It's Shiro's fault when we give answers. It's Shiro's fault when we don't know how to ask questions, and it's Shiro's fault when we don't know how to give answers. So I've learned the corporate structure here.
And yet,
But,
Shiro, can you correct me on this?
And this is our HR department right here. All right. right here.
The other thing we've learned is that Shiro is also boss. So everything I said is kind of negated.
All right. So, but in regards to
you will clean your desk on Monday morning.
Oh my god! I'm so glad you can't see my desk right now.
Yeah, I'm also a comic artist.
The studio that I rent space in. It was, funnily enough, the studio I rent space in, like, it's in the basement of a building, and like the upstairs is like an art gallery.
Coincidence.
But they were doing like a bunch of like, oh my god, we need to reinvent the art gallery, reinvent the space and all that. So today was me, like, whenever I took a break to use the bathroom or get water or whatever, stuff like that, would be me coming up in like various conversations with like, oh my god, like, and looking at like the desks of shit that they had somehow needed to move and appropriate to other spaces and to whatever. And I'm sitting there going like, you know what? I might not be that bad at my hoarding and my spacing and all the things that I'm doing.
Now, hey, but I want to come back to something that we were having in the conversation that nobody got to prove to, but because you brought up Preacher, right? And Preacher being a show, which I enjoyed the show. I thought the comic was better, but I think the whole thing within that is if you were to make Preacher a show and keep it comic accurate, it's Game of Thrones money, right? I mean, that's
yes, but also they got a character with a butthole mouth. I mean, I'm sorry for your like Disney audience, but like there's the thumbnail screen on Netflix right now for Preacher
is Arseface. Yes.
I mean, so what conversation are we having?
Shitty one.
But look, I think it's funny because
Shiro, point.
You bring that up, and I mean,
Canadian. I am above your laws. It's okay, I'm above your country.
but let's flip this, man. Why do you think, with the existence of books like Preacher and such, or with the existence of shows like Preacher and such, why do you think they don't seem to drive the sales of the comics, especially in a case like Preacher? Because Preacher is something that has a
Man,
start, it
Preacher,
has an end. It's not the whole, I
yeah.
understand with Marvel it not driving sales, because with Marvel to jump in, the
Hey
common
man,
layman,
but
unless you have somebody
Lock and
helping
Key
you.
doesn't drive
Yeah.
sales either.
Why do you think
Lock
that
and Key.
is? Like, I feel like in those ones, there would be more of a drive for
So
the sales than it. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, I understand the DC and the Marvel, but yeah.
yeah. I wish they did, and I don't have a legit marketing person's answer for you. All I have is a lay creator, like someone who makes things and someone who talks to the people who make those things. And in some fortunate circumstances, I'm able to be friends with or acquaintances with people who've made what we're talking about. But what I think is, I I wish I could be nice about this, but what I think is most people don't care. I think most people, it's the easiest. And when I say they don't care, it doesn't mean that they don't care about the story or the characters or whatever. What it is like they don't care about what's beyond their reach and the easiest common denominator. And the easiest common denominator right now is, can I click on this on Netflix? Can I click on this on Amazon? Can I click on this on YouTube? Can I click on, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And so I am 190% guilty of this, because like, as someone who spent the last 12 years in animation, I can sit there and I can tell you to watch the first 10 seasons of Archer, because I've worked, on a bunch of it. Not the first 10. Like, I worked on season 3 through 10, 11, 14, whatever. It, like,
You worked on Space Race.
I'm
I love
blanking,
those
but and
episodes.
I can sit there and I can tell you very easily, like, hey, go watch season 1 of Hitmonkey. Go watch season 2 of Hitmonkey. I directed on both of those. Like, go watch those shows. That is such a passive way of interacting with things, though, that it's very difficult to increase engagement in the way that we're talking about. But the other thing is when I say to someone, go watch seasons 3 through 10 of Archer, sorry, not even 3 through 10, 3 through 14 of Archer, which I've worked on most of, watch seasons 1 and 2 of Hitmonkey, there's not a tangible product for them to deal with. There's not a tangible thing for them to own, to feel that that is special and negates their there's a way of dealing with feelings about social media objects that we haven't really recognized yet, which is, people understand things happen in real life, but because it happens on social media, they don't actually engage with it internally in a way that is something that they want to come out and see. And I don't have a word for that. I'm sure there's a term for that, but it's something that I deal with as someone trying to get to engage with me in my social media, in my personal life, being like, hey, like, I am the director of Hitmonkey season 2. I art directed season 1. I am a storyboard artist on Vampire Diaries and Black Lightning and all this other stuff. Like, engage with me. They don't have an avenue to engage with me because there is no physical media, there is no physical property other than their engagement with these shows that they've liked. So comic wise, that actually applies laterally rather than any other way. It applies laterally in the sense that, like, they don't know who makes these comics. They just know if they can get them easily. They know if they can get them, free or in a price range that is available to their budget, and then they go from there. So it's a weird, yeah, it's a weird thing.
No.
It's a
You
weird thing.
make so many valid points within that, Kevin, because personally, I've never even seen a pop of Archer, right? That I can think of. And
Yeah.
personally, I'd buy a
I
pop
don't
of
think you're
Archer.
gonna.
Right.
Well, you're more likely to see something like that now and I'm not going to call them out, but you're more likely to see something now because the company that I worked for that made Archer aggressively resisted social media literally until a couple weeks ago. So,
Really? That
yeah,
I don't know, man. I remember when Archer started. Like, I've been a fan of that
Yeah.
show
I do
from its
too. No, I do
inception.
too. I was a
Yeah.
Frisky Dingo fan. I was not. Regrettably, I was not a C Lab 2021 fan. I was not, but I was a Frisky Dingo fan.
Wait, you weren't a C Lab fan, but you were part of the my brain.
Where are his notes?
I want to say, I see, because there's Space Race, and then there's the what voyage? It's a two-parter episode for Archer. I want to say it's season 4 or 5. It's the one that's got Patton Oswalt in it. Look, I don't know my
so
Archer.
yeah, season 4. So the end of season 4 is
Fantastic
we
Voyage.
go down. So, all right. So, you ready for some tea? All right. So the end of season 4 is the C Lab crossover with Archer. It's not a legit crossover. It's a because we made this, we're gonna do this anyways. So the end of season 4, and I boarded like the flooding of that C Lab, quote unquote, not C Lab episode. I did a bunch of I boarded all of that. I mean, I boarded on all of that season. So, that's not the problem. The issue is Jon Hamm was the voice of Captain. Oh my God. Hold on.
Say Sea Tunt is the name of the episodes. I know that.
It is. Yeah, there's Sea Tunt. So Jon Hamm was actually the voice of the captain on those, and I'm so dumb for misremembering his name.
Maybe?
Murphy.
Thank you. Oh my God, thank you so much. So Jon Hamm was the voice of Captain Murphy on that, and Captain Murphy died via a unregistered sorry, I don't remember how it was worded at the time, but he died via a soda machine that was undiagnosed, that's the wrong word, unregistered as to what it was called. Like, it wasn't a Coke machine, it wasn't a Pepsi machine, whatever. So
generic soda machine. Delicious.
Thank you. That's it. Generic soda machine. That was dumb of me to forget what that was called. It happens when you're having these conversations and you're trying to remember everything that everybody's talking about. Yeah. So
Generic soda machine. Little, like, what's that word?
But also,
that word?
Generic soda machine is part of the joke, which is why I killed it completely right now with trying to remember what it was. So Jon Hamm died under the crushing weight of a generic soda machine.
He denied staying alive.
The other part of that that I'm not going to worry about being caught under DNA about is, at the same time, he had a lot of TMZ, Daily Beast, those type of articles about his unit. And so if you are to slow-mo when he flies through the water because of the flushing stuff, when his character, Captain Murphy, flies through the water, through the slow-mo stuff like that, that character definitely has some
talent,
heft. There's some heft there. Yeah.
Oh man, if I ever needed to go back and watch that episode,
It's a little insider.
Now is the time.
This is completely unrelated, but I will say, as far as celebrities that I've met via working on Archer, I have not met Jon Hamm, but I am a big fan. His version of Fletch is the only version of Fletch that I accept aside from Chevy Chase. So, if that says anything. What I will say though is sorry, trying to gather my thoughts
Still
here.
thinking about that heft.
Of course, how do you not?
He's got Jon Hamm
know.
suspended on his mind.
The one of the nicest, and if not most nicest, but one of the nicest people that I've met because of working on Archer is Daniel Craig. And Daniel Craig was fucking amazing. He came in while he was filming Logan Lucky, so he was in the area. He was in Atlanta doing his thing, and if you've seen Logan Lucky, of course you know how great that is. If you haven't, watch it because it's fucking hilarious. Sorry. It's hilarious.
You don't need to apologize at this point, man. I'm over it. Just
I
go
know
ahead,
I've done
Kevin.
enough at this point. Yeah, I've done it. Anyways, but meeting Daniel Craig was one of those, like, okay, he's gonna come by and say hi for a few seconds and then do his thing. He's gonna do his, like, because the way the studio was laid out was it was laid out in departments, so like he could go from department to department to department. So, but they had him kind of start with pre-production and production. So he came to me, and so the thing that was nice and was weird and that I'll never get over was that face, those crazy blue eyes, because you don't understand how blue his eyes are. Like, you see them in the Bond movies, you see it in Logan Lucky, you see it in the other movies he's been, but like those eyes are no joke. Like, that dude is legit. Like, oh, you're like, hi, I love you. You know what I mean? Like, that sort of thing. But anyways, he was a fan of the show. He is a fan of the show. So when he came up to talk to me, he was like, so they want me to talk to you about like storyboarding and pre-production and all that. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go on in this episode. And I started with an episode, and he's like, oh, I know this one. He knew what I would, and we had picked an episode prior to him being there that we didn't know anything. We picked an episode that had aired, but we didn't know that he was that big of a fan. It was more of a, like, yeah, everybody says there's a fan when they come to the studio. Why wouldn't they? You know what I mean? He came through and he's like, oh, I love this episode. So when you did this, and I'm like, yes. And you know what I mean? So it was very much that sort of thing. And when the other people who he went to talk to, so it was like he talked to us in pre-pro, which was storyboards and all that stuff. And then when he wants to talk to character design and animation and background design, all that stuff, like he got, like, the dude's like, here's me, here's his head right here. Like, he's in my business because he cares about how things are made. And that was amazing to find out, because you don't often think about how people like that interpret and imbibe, for lack of a better term, the process of what you're doing. And they totally do. And that was a great example of that.
So no names, because I don't want you to get in trouble. But have you ever had something or someone that embodied the epitome of the opposite of that?
Not actively. Not in a antagonistic point of view. There have been shows. Sorry. There have been pitches where I have personally, and this is not to speak for anybody else, but there have been pitches that I have personally felt this is not a good show. We should not make this. And that's just in a general capacity. I can't speak to them personally. I can't speak to them, like whatever. It's just more like at the studio that I was at, I have no problem saying this, and if they come after me for this, like whatever. But if I have no problem saying that we hit a wall of like the shit that should have gotten made. You know what I mean? And it's none of it we felt bad about. Like we all were like, this should have gone. This should have gone. And it was all like it's a wall of like 30 things that like, I was there for 12 years and there was like 40 to 50 projects that should have gotten made and were fucking awesome. We're awesome. You know what I mean? And
So-
didn't get made.
With that, and knowing that there were so many projects that you've ran across that you were like, man, that should have happened. And knowing the projects that you've put out that obviously had a great deal of success you've had, man, like I said, even with a show like Archer, I mean, there were so many times it got brought back. I mean, even when Jessica Walter, who played Mallory Archer, passed, I thought that was the end of the show, but it still had continued success. And like I said, everything.
No, and that was a huge concern. That was a huge
Oh, yeah.
concern. Like
Well, no, but- Oh no, hold on, don't. That wasn't my question though, because I don't. And again, may she rest in peace. What a wonderful job she done on that show. But I'm curious, with that and all the other projects you've seen that you said should have gotten made, is there something out there, particularly maybe a comic book property, something obscure, something huge that you look at and go, that needs to be a TV show? That's not been done, let me point out. Don't go throwing Preacher or Why the Last Man or Deadly Class or something at me that they've done. Something that has, and you can't throw something that's killing the children because that's coming up.
Sure, and James and his team have been very great about. I mean, Tiny Onion. How can you argue? But
well, and real quick, shout out to Ross Ritchie. Yeah, shout out to Ross Ritchie, who we just had on a couple quests back, man. It was a great conversation with him.
Ross, no, I like Ross. I really like Ross a lot, and I feel bad because I haven't talked to him in like years. But he's someone who I've always liked. So yeah.
Great.
Anyways, go ahead.
But no, yeah, I was just curious. Like within that, is there a property you look at within comics, especially because you do go out and read, that you think, man, somebody needs to do something with this?
I mean, the easy joke and the serious answer are kind of the same, which is if it was 1989 and I was able to do New Mutants, you know what I mean? But also, I wouldn't change what anybody in 1988 through 1991 did with New Mutants, you know what I mean? I would not change it. So what I would say is, if it's not something that I wrote and created, there's two things that I would do. I would do New Mutants 1989. And I wish I had a pitch beyond that, but I would do New Mutants 1989.
Well, you would want to make that an animated show?
Just as anything.
Anything.
Because, you know what I mean? Like, I would do a school-based show. But like, if I could do Breakfast Club meets Can't Hardly Wait with the New Mutants, I would do that. You know what I mean? That's my X-Men pitch. The other X-Men pitch I have has largely been done. It would just be me retreading old shit, which is like I would do the X-Men in the Outback. I would do like let's talk like X-Men meets Fury Road and Furiosa, but in a way that like is my two favorite issues of X-Men are and I forgot the issue number, so I apologize. But it's the one not before but after Wolverine is crucified on the X. I forget which it is. It's either the one before or the one after.
Oh,
And then
I just seen a reference because I think it was I think it was Tim Seeley just did a tribute to that. If you remember, it might have been Tony.
When Witchblade and Mark Silvestri did a
no, it was Mark.
Witchblade
Thank
tribute.
you. It was Mark. It was Mark Silvestri.
Yeah, Mark did. He did, and I actually was defending Mark recently on that issue over the last week because people were like, oh, like Mark has changed, like whatever, and I'm like, Mark is actually functioning at such a higher level craft wise. If you look at his work now, like all you have to do is remove all the hatching, and he's doing the same crap that he and Dan Green, not in a bad way. Crap means just he's doing the work. The things.
No, I didn't take that as a slight in any way.
But he's doing the same work that he and Dan Green were doing. But Mark now, if you look at his Batman Joker stuff, like incredible work, but also structurally the same level of work that he was doing 30 years ago on that stuff. Like I challenge anyone to sit there and like, please, if you want to spend the time, remove the hatching that he's doing now, because he loves that hatching and he loves that, like, whatever. And I think it looks great. I like it. But remove that hatching and then tell me that it's different from X-Men 250, whatever, you know, I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like I apologize that I don't have
you're not Tom. Yeah, you're not Tom Brevoort, Kevin. It's okay.
No, yeah. No, well, and also at the same point, like I sit there and go like, what am I reacting to as a fan versus what am I reacting to as a creator? And as a creator, I think Mark is doing the work of his life, because I've got the black and whites of his Batman Joker thing that he's been doing, and I sit there and I go like, I'm not a fan of the rendering 100% of the time. I think like whatever, like, but as a draftsman, as a creator, as a craftsman, he is still top level. He's more on a top level than 5 out of the other Image early creators. Than, you know what I mean? Like, I love Liefeld. Mark is out draftsmanshiping him, and it's because like Liefeld is trying to be something new, and it's great. I love old Liefeld. I love old Jim Lee. I love old Silvestri, and I think Silvestri and McFarlane are the two that are the closest to where they were 30 years ago, just with improving upon that. So like if we can balloon out from where Silvestri was Cyberforce wise, and if we can balloon out from where not Silvestri, but
McFarlane?
I'm sorry.
McFarlane, that was the other one of the other
McFarlane and his inking and his penciling and his inking over people who exist now. And he chooses to ink a lot of dudes, which is great. But Silvestri also, like, you know, if you look at his work now, those two are the closest. And then the farthest you get away is like Jim Lee. Like, his DC stuff is good. It's really good. Like he has grown a lot. But I don't care. Like I buy all of it. I've bought all of it in pencil. I've bought the
All I,
pencils of like Justice League and all that, and I don't care. Like
look,
I want him to draw. He won't do it. He won't do it. Nor should he. Nor should he. He should not. But I love 30 years ago, Jim Lee. But I will say, and the point that I was trying to make is Silvestri right now is the most evolved version of all that stuff. Like,
uh,
if you look at Silvestri now, and I've made this point multiple times to people who disagree with me, but I will continue to make the point, which is if you take Silvestri 91, 92, 93, like whatever, and then you take Silvestri now and you just remove the crazy amount of hatching, it's the same dude.
all
All
right,
he's doing is just over rendering shit, which I'm fine with, which I'm totally fine with. I'm fine
let,
with.
let my sick self take a shot of NyQuil real quick.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, thank
And-
you, Shiro, for tolerating all of this. I appreciate you. So,
But
Oh, man. I do it every day with Jay.
man,
You
Shiro
wouldn't
puts
believe.
up with me, Kevin. Yeah,
fair
that's a
enough.
whole different level of. That's a whole because then you get the comic book, the podcast, and the hip hop side all at once, and that's a
Yeah.
whole mesha of. Yeah, we won't get into that level of.
Like-
Yeah.
I've done
But-
years of retail. This is nothing.
Well, hey,
This is
some of the stories she got into on her we won't get into that. But what
Less
you were saying as
threats.
far as about Mark and everything, I think it's funny you're saying that because look, they just restarted Wishblade. They just did a reboot. I actually just read issue 1 today. I'm pleased with it so far. I'm very curious as to how they're going to take it. As someone that was a fan of Top Cow when it very first started. But you're sitting here talking about Mark and all that back in the day, and I'm like, look, so they restarted Wishblade. Okay. I liked the Wishblade. I loved Jackie. Okay. I love Jackie Escato. That character, there's and the initial rundown on it, I can't tell you how much part of my brain, and I know it's not going to happen. I know it shouldn't happen because it would be them rehashing what they've already done. It's not where they should go. But I cannot tell you how much I want to see Mark and Garth get together on some darkness again. You know, I know, and again, I know it's not going to happen. I know it shouldn't happen, right? If those two creators are going to get together, it should not be to retell a story in a different manner than they've already told. It would be redundant more than anything else, especially with the way they would have to lace it into this new Witchblade story. Not to say that it couldn't be absolutely phenomenal, but I do totally see your point within that. How do you think if you're stepping into this game as a new creator, what would be your best advice to make sure you're not redundant in what's already been done before you?
Great question. And the way to ignore the part where it says new creator, because I think it's a problem of like
True.
you want no. I'm not like ignoring what you're saying about new
Oh.
creator, because the new creator is totally thing. Because hey, I am fully willing to admit, like I'm mid 40s and I'm here in a place where I am a new creator to a lot of people, which is weird because of my resume. So, but what I'm saying is like, it doesn't matter because you can be like 15, you can be 25, you can be 35. It doesn't fucking matter. What I would say is the thing that I would do, and this is wrong or right or whatever, but the thing what I would do is you need to have a point of view. You need to have a way in. And the way in that I have is going to be different from yours. So, it's going to be different from yours. It's going to be from Shiro's. It's going to be in the way in, and these are things, the way in is not necessarily from a creator point of view. The way in is necessarily going to be from a reader point of view. Like how is this going to appeal to me versus what I want to read? Those are totally conflicting things. So as someone who understands that those are battlefields that I am not going to necessarily win on, I need to at least make the biggest fight that I can. Biggest fight that I can. I'm gonna lose. But biggest fight that I can is, if we're talking Witchblade, we're talking darkness and all that. The biggest thing I think that they lose on is making those characters play on an equal playing field. They always have. They have always tried to make them play in the same world. Fuck that. Who cares? Witchblade? Witchblade is my favorite. Dickness. Darkness is. Thank you, Shiro.
I think that's
Darkness,
real quick,
the bootleg
real quick,
version.
Kevin, this is getting to a point. I don't think you would want to have to edit all the
That
swears
was
out of this episode.
definitely a faux pas. Yeah, it was definitely a faux pas.
Was a
But-
rather slip of the tongue.
Yeah. Darkness, I love, but Darkness didn't register with me for many years until Darkness became somebody more Crow-like. And when you view the Darkness as a Crow-like character, sadly, the new movie apparently appears to be bad. I don't know. I want to see it. I want to like it. I want to see it. But let's talk about it as if it doesn't exist. Darkness is someone who is impressed upon a burden that is familial. And so you have to play upon the familiar aspect of like the world that has been impressed upon you. Okay, we all can understand that to a certain degree, regardless of our gender, regardless of our spirituality, we can all understand there is a familial burden that is being oppressed upon us that we then have to adjust to. So that's the darkness. Witchblade, love. Easier to understand because Witchblade is like, I found some shit, I put it on me, oh fuck, like I am now this other thing, like it's very for lack of a better term, alien like. Aliens 2 is a good example, you know what I mean, we're like, okay, now I have to fight this thing. Actually, for lack of a better term for your audience, but Aliens 3 is probably better the example because like this thing is inside me and now I have to figure out how to navigate being a human and figure out like not transmitting this to everybody else. But also in our Gen X, Z, millennial like world, like how do we sit there and talk about COVID? How do we sit there and talk about like STDs and stuff like that? Like, so to me, like that sort of thing for like a Witchblade thing is sitting there going like, I have this thing that I have to wield, that no longer, that is, people will want to try to understand, but they will never understand because I have to wield it. Not me, sorry, but Sarah, you know what I mean? Like Sarah's sitting there going like, you don't understand, like you want to take this burden from me,
You don't
But
think Jackie? You don't think Jackie shares that same aspect with the power of the darkness? I mean, look, because look, I'll be real
Jackie as
honest,
a
dude.
character, Jackie as a character, so that actually gets into the characters. So Jackie as a character, I think, is super narcissistic. I think.
I think
I want to hurt their
I
feelings.
think she wants it. I think she wants the pain. I think Jackie wants the pain.
of the darkness. I mean, I could see that point
Of
because
what
him being,
of whatever it is.
well,
And I think
with
that the
him
darkness
with him
feeds
being a
into that.
mafia, with him being a mafia hitman, I do think in that power aspect, he felt that he deserved the burden of it because of the things that he had done before he was
That's
21
all
and was given
Jackie's
that gift.
narcissism. That's all Jackie's narcissism. That's why I say it's narcissistic to Jackie. I'm not saying that about the darkness power, but I think that Jackie's
Yeah.
narcissism he says, I need all of this. And it's selfish. It's selfish. And I get it. I am not saying that I disagree with it. What I'm saying is I understand it in a way that makes me go like, yeah, I get what you're doing here, bro. I get that. And I think that he is selfish. And I think that he is narcissistically selfish in a way that again, we can get into on another podcast because I have not done therapy. But if we want to do therapy on me, I can sit there and say, like, I understand this.
Who
But,
did not
Look,
you know what I
pick the
mean?
right word
Like,
to say
what
that.
I already,
I can say
I already
is
had.
what
I
I
swear.
can say is
I
think he is narcissistically selfish, and he is sitting there being like, bring it on me, bro. You know what I mean?
It's funny too, though, if you think about it, because the points where he really, really, really became like that were in Phil Hessler's run. I think that's where he really became upon the more gimme, 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 just put it all on me, was when Phil was writing him, funnily enough.
Do we want to talk about that?
I mean, look, there's this part of me. There's this part of me. Like,
Phil is a friend and mentor to me. So I am happy to talk about it. But also, I would sit there and be like, let's get Phil on and let's talk about it. You know what I mean? Because I would sit there and say, because as someone who has read a lot of Phil's work, I don't claim to know Phil's intentions. What I do know is I know how I interpret Phil based on my lens of Phil. And what I would say is, you were not wrong. Let's talk about this.
okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, all I know is the fact that you said that was therapy and all of this brings me back to when we had Fred Kennedy on for the first time. Man, lovely individual. Check it out. Him and Nick are about to start dropping Dead Romans Part 2 over there, right? You could check them out when we had them on a while ago, talking all about that. But his particular quest ended when I was like, yeah, man, I just really don't like Superman. And he went, his exact I mean, I may not have this verbatim, but so, I mean, it might not be exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of, hey, I feel like people who don't like Superman really just probably had something bad at him or something hurt him back in the day. And my response to that was, okay, this interview's over, because I was like, that was a bit of therapy on my end, Kevin. I was like, maybe? Fred, shut up. Now, mind you, at that point, we had been like an hour and 45 minutes in the show, so
No, you're fine. You're fine.
time to wrap it up.
Think. Yeah. Sorry, I
No, go
apologize
ahead.
for cutting off. I agree with. I agree with you in theory. I think Superman is a good dichotomy for the type of discussion that we're having. Superman is not a great dichotomy for the type of discussion that you would have with lawyers and, like, people who
Oh,
do things and whatever. But because they don't have the same frame of reference, you have to figure out the frame of reference. Superman is a great frame of reference for people who all right, I'm not trying to figure out a good terminology. I'm trying to figure out the appropriate terminology. Good and appropriate are two different things. So what I would say is the argument of Superman is good for people. All right, let me sidestep here. So I grew up Southern Baptist. Grew up Christian, grew up like whatever. The argument that I would make about Superman is growing up Southern Baptist versus growing up Catholic.
Ooh. Hey, guess what?
Yeah. Welcome Shiro to the conversation. So what I would say is though is like I don't disagree with both, but what I do is I understand the argument. So if your audience wants us to go into this more, we can
no.
an additional, but I'm gonna ignore it for right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna assume
Kevin.
Yeah,
I decree, and so does the HR department over here. All right, that I'm gonna have to have a conversation with Scott to line up a bit of a pan-con. Sure, you're more than welcome to join with Kevin, Phil, Fred. Sure, like I said, you're more than welcome to join. I think that's the right number to get me out, right?
Yeah.
I am the face
Yeah,
after
and
all.
we're gonna have an in-depth conversation because I think those are two very contradictory characters as far as the darkness and Superman, and I think it's an interesting.
They are.
Yeah, so I think that's
which is what I was going to get into.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to ignore it until another time.
No. Look, Kevin, I don't want that much to edit. I'm gonna be real honest with you, right?
I 100% support this. So if this ends up being like 15 minutes long,
no. So like I said, sincerely, no. We're gonna hear in the near future. I'm gonna get Fred. I'm gonna get in contact with Fred. I'm gonna get in contact with Phil. We ain't had neither of them on in a while, man. I know Phil's got stuff cooking. I know Fred got plenty cooking over there, and it's been a pleasure, Kevin, have you on and conversate with everything, man. And I've got no doubt in my mind we can continue this for a while. We're gonna have to arrange a little something to have that conversation on that, just about the true
whatever.
ethics.
I mean, I'm gonna interrupt you just to say, whatever your audience is up for, I am up for. Also, like it's one of those things where like that's why when you asked me to answer like the questionnaire, I was like, well, I mean, if we need this, okay, but like otherwise, I'm like, let's just have a conversation. Let's see where it goes.
Yeah.
This has been, to your point, and to Shiro's point, one of the best conversations that I've had doing these, because we didn't try to force anything. We just had a conversation. That's literally, oh my God, he just fell out of screen. Okay,
No,
he's
man.
back now.
Look, I had a look, man, my ball dropped. All right.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Finally.
Well, it's
long
good
enough.
at this age that you're ball dropped, so that's fine. That's fair. Thank you, Shiro, for beating me to that. No, dude, and dudettes and however everybody else identifies. Like, let's have a conversation whenever, because like I would rather do this per any podcast. Like I would rather do this than anything else, because this at least is a conversation. We didn't arrive at anything. We weren't trying, like, I'm not sitting here trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm just trying to get to know two people and Shiro, while you may be as quiet as you want to be,
Yeah.
we definitely
The
had a
reason for that.
conversation. We definitely had a conversation before this started that lets me know where we stand, and it's like, this is great. This is great. And that's the thing that is lacking from so many conversations right now. So many podcasts, so many conversations. So when I sit here and tell you, like, publish whatever, like, cut out, like, there are parts that we should probably cut out that I
Dude,
asked you to,
I know, Kevin.
but
Look,
like,
I had to.
but it's more like, if at the end of the day, if those things come out, I'm assuming that, all right, yeah, I'll deal with it. It's not a problem.
So
It's
you're
more,
telling me
it
to
needs
put
to be,
those parts out on the Patreon about that show we were talking about? Is that what you're telling
sure,
me?
yeah, sure, yeah, it's fine.
Well, for $2, y'all can go, because Kevin said it, and if he said it, I'll do it. There's going to be a little part that happened in the middle of the show that you can go check out that hopefully don't make nobody mad. But I don't think it will, man. But look, like I said, sincerely, Kevin, we are going to be arranging something here in the next couple months where we're going to have a conversation with you, Phil,
Yeah,
Fred.
happy to.
We'll line that all up, especially if you ain't talked to Phil in a
No.
while, man, because I haven't either. Phil's always a pleasure to have on. He is. And then I got to talk to Shiro about lining up a bunch of graphics, and she's gonna be like, "I swear, you tell me one more
Well,
thing."
here's the thing. I'm gonna ask for, and Shiro can deny or not do this or whatever, but I want Shiro there because I appreciate the facial reactions while we're talking. So if Shiro does not want to be on the show, that's
I don't
fine.
really have a poker face.
I want Shiro as a reactionary so that I can sit there and be like, all right, that joke I just said totally landed.
I'm just gonna be in the corner, it's just gonna be my head.
Yeah. Totally fine. Totally fine.
So look,
yeah.
for ending purposes,
Shiro, like seriously, like I have appreciated all of your reactions during the last holy shit hour and a half. So yeah.
Roughly.
yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm
Yeah.
not trying to edit no more, Kevin. I'm really not, and I can't find my thumb, and I'm kind of annoyed about that. But that's besides the point. But hey, like I said, go check out Hit Monkey Season 2, man. It just dropped over on Hulu, as well as you can check out in the links in the description Kevin's website to find out everything he's done, and it's fairly
Kevin
extensive.
Mellon. It's real easy. KevinMellon.com. 2 L's KEVIN.
Yeah, 2 L's.
Hey man, you ain't gotta tell them. They just gotta scroll down a little and click. It's so much easier than them typing it in. You know.
And we're gonna have a whole other conversation about engagement.
Yeah.
Let's do it. No, but I mean, please, if there's stuff that y'all who are listening to this want to hear more about, because we've talked about a lot of different stuff, and I know that we've engaged on a lot of different things, that does not mean this is the end all be all. It means that this is a conversation, and we are happy to keep going and engage on that conversation. So,
and that's a valid point you make, Kevin. That I want to let everyone out there that listens to any of these quests, and in a podcast, Kevin, it's a quest. We do it a little different over here. You know what I mean? That's why occasionally Hannibal would be throwing dragons at us. I swear on my life, it's annoying. Like dude, stop throwing drags at me. I ain't got to, don't want to deal with this crap. But, yeah, for anybody out there, man, if there's any part of this conversation you would like to hear more about, man, just comment in the comment sections of, wherever you are, and I'll get a notification, and I'll try and make sure that does happen. Or hopefully, we can build more and more crew and somebody else catches it. Maybe Shiro or Scott or Vlad will. I don't know. But in all sincerity, we will be taking this to a whole nother level about the Superman of Darkness. And oh my God, Kevin, I look forward to that conversation so much because it's a character that I loved since their creation and inception. A character that I hated for so long until Fred said that to me. And then I went and looked back at it. And I was like, no, I have a whole new level of respect for the character of Clark Kent, which is funny because my actual last name is Clark. We won't get into it. It's a whole different topic.
Universe.
Yeah, it's something we're definitely going to get into. But Kevin, it has definitely been a pleasure, man. But dude, it's been sure. Do me a favor, ask a question and give me like a minute and a half.
You do realize you always ask me these things like last minute.
I put people on the spot, Shiro. Aren't you used to that?
Not yet, no.
Who are you? Who are
You
you
play
asking for
D&D
the minute?
with me. You know I'm not good being on the spot.
Am I the one in the minute and a half? Who? Is it me and Shiro?
Daddy, don't fight over me.
All right, so
Oh,
sure.
you didn't.
Second question.
Okay.
You have a Boris Karloff flyer right below your shoulder. Yeah,
Yes, I do.
let's talk about that. Okay, what is that for?
Actually, it's from a Kickstarter. Some people, because of course nobody remembers names. We all got ADHD. It's late for everybody.
Yeah.
That got the license for Gold Key, and the first book that they released was a Boris Karloff.
Oh, okay.
History.
Yeah. Okay. That
on
actually
Kickstarter.
rings some bells. Okay.
And it was all new stories.
Okay.
And I supported the Kickstarter because I got some original Boris Karloffs somewhere. They're in this room. I promise you that.
No, listen. I hope you understand / appreciate that I ask you these questions because clearly we're into the same shit. So I just want to know more about like what's going on behind you because I'm like, oh no, this is a person who, yeah. So no, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Clearly, Kevin, you have a way worse mouth than Shiro does, though.
I make an effort. I'm from Quebec. Half our vocabulary.
She's
You're gonna cut it
Canadian
out.
and I'm
Timestamp,
Midwestern. So the Midwestern version of Canadian is like, oh, fucking A, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's Ontario.
Wait.
Right?
Oh, you said you're from. I'm from the Midwest too, Kevin. I'm from Indiana, man. Come on, that's a terrible excuse.
Kansas City. I was born and raised in Kansas City. I was in Atlanta for 12 years, and now I'm back in Kansas City. So all my Kansas City bad habits are back. Like they're all just here. So, but also, actually, Georgia reinforced my Kansas City bad habits because I moved there going like, I shouldn't say y'all. And then I spent 12 years going like, hey, y'all got some sweet potatoes with that? Hey, y'all got some like fucking tater tots with that? Hey, y'all got some. Yeah, no, it's atrocious.
Like I say y'all all the time. I'm from Quebec. Nobody says y'all. It's just me.
Hey,
no, you are. Hey,
it took me forever.
Hi, welcome home.
Get why all these American stand-up comics were making fun of Canadians and always saying a boot, and I was like, who says a boot? And then I learned in my 30s it was
Vancouver people do.
I don't know. Look. Depending on how much you run your mouth, I might put you in the boot, but that's a whole different story.
No. What I've learned about Vancouver comedy and a boot is it's not Quebecians. No. Sorry.
Look, man, and that's a whole different. I swear I need to line up a whole PanCon 2 about just the international and the difference in the international markets in comics because it is crazy different, even from Canada to the U.S. But then you jump over to Serbia, Italy, anywhere in Europe, it is a whole different level. And can I say, I love, dude, your favorite comic book movie, really, Mystery Men. Really, I've never had that answer. And really, I just watched it like in the last month, I want to point out.
That was your first time seeing it?
No. I watched it again. I should have said again. I watched it again about a month ago. No, dude, I remember watching that when it came out.
If you want, like, when I saw that question, I was like, am I going to answer with what's popular or with what I really feel? And what I really feel is Mystery Man. With what's popular, like, I mean, Iron Man 3, like, that's one of my favorite comic book movies. But if you're going to ask me, like, what's the movie that I'm going to fucking watch over and over again and mean something? Mystery Men. And, like, it's the fucking best. It's fuck you, everybody else. It's the best.
I mean, like I said, dude, I watched it right around a month ago again, and yeah, it's definitely I wonder what would have happened had they been able to have the flaming carrot in it. A little bit. I wonder, like, could they have pulled it
I
off?
mean,
Could they have done it
I
right?
mean,
That's tricky.
private talk to private talk. Bob is a fucking crazy person, but you're not wrong.
I'm just saying. All right, but look, we have enough to edit. This has been a great conversation.
Bob should have flaming carrot should be in a fucking movie or a cartoon or whatever. Like, I agree with that, but also Bob has never met me, but I have met Bob, and he is he's a crazy person. So,
Hey man, look,
lovely.
some of us creators kind of are.
yeah.
All
I support everything he does 100%.
Yeah.
So,
but on that note, man,
that's what I'm like, I also, like I said to you at the beginning of this, I am not telling you anything that I am afraid of having come out. Like, I don't care. Like, I do want you to edit this, and I want you to make it a good, and I don't want you to edit in a way that is like,
you can have one or the other.
No, I want you to make it good.
It'll be good, but it'll be a lot of crazy conversations because then all right, I do a lot,
yeah, that's fine.
And look, there should be way more people, Kevin, running this show than are running this show, and I'll leave it at that.
Sure.
And if the amount of people that should be running this show,
did you really just shit on Shiro like that? Like, did you really just say like there should be way better people than Shiro running the show?
I said more. God damn it, I'm done. Look, now you got me breaking the rule, Kevin. Look, for everyone out there, check it out. Check out all the links in the description. You can find out way more about Kevin, as well as find all kinds of
KevinMellon.rocks, KevinMellon.com. It's all the same thing.
Kevin, you shorted me a couple answers that I kind of wanted.
No. Oh, sorry. No. Do we need to do this, or do you want to do it another time?
No,
I'm happy to do it.
Because you shorted me a couple answers.
Let's do a lightning round real
quick.
But
no, it's okay. It's okay, because what I want everybody out there to know that if you've enjoyed this quest, if you've enjoyed this quest with Kevin, right, and you've just been like, that was phenomenal, great conversation. What I want you to do, right, is I want you to sing Kevin a bunch of steaks, a bunch of hamburgers, nice quality ones, right, as well as the Ultra Magnus.
Very good.
Ultra Magnus.
Very mindful. Very demure.
Yeah, that OG big truck bed with a white colorway Optimus body. All right, so
that was no. That you asked me what toy I wanted. Don't say that out of context. Fuck you. Don't say that out of context. You asked me what toy
I know I did.
I want.
Yeah, that's the toy you wanted. So I'm telling them if they enjoyed it. I wanted
the Ultra Magnus.
Yeah, because you just started at the body, so.
No, those of you who are Transformers 1986 fans, you will understand. Ultra Magnus, back in 86, 87, there was a toy version of him that had a white Optimus Prime body, which was the metal that transformed into Optimus Prime, but it was the Ultra Magnus version, which means that it came with a fucking like plastic head and like crazy body that he transformed into. I had this as a kid, sold it stupidly in my late teens to a toy collector who clearly knew that he was getting me for what I had.
Okay,
but it was an Optimus Prime white colorway body with Ultra Magnus things that fit on top. And part of it was, if you remember Ultra Magnus from the movie, he had a truck bed that you could put the other cars on, like Rodimus and Bumblebee and all that stuff. So it was a thing. So when I say that in my answer to you, don't you be silly with me and try and like
Kevin, I was saying if they enjoyed the quest, get you some steaks, some burgers, and that particular toy. Do you
buy the Ultra Magnus, you fucking assholes?
Like, buy it for Kevin and get it to him. That's what I'm saying. Also, Also, make sure you check out Hit
It's
Monkey.
just, I have a thing though, because like I'm not going to bother you by lifting my computer over, but there is a whole level of bookshelf that is dedicated to the 1986 Transformers recreations that have come out, because I sold all of mine as a late teen, early 20s. So what I've been doing is when they do the 1986 Transformers, I find them, or slash my wonderful girlfriend who I love and is super kind, she will go to Target, and when she finds things at Target that she feels like are the 86 level that I don't have, she gets them for me. So it's
All right. Well, real quick,
so, yeah.
since you're gonna bring up Transformers
I mean,
like that, I just know I gotta bring up. We got the epic voice guy coming up here real shortly. Should be the quest right
Shiro,
after this
I'm
one,
so
actually.
sorry. Shiro, I'm so
Sorry, I am
Shiro,
highly entertained.
No.
Shiro,
Well, he's
Shiro. I apologize.
We were supposed to have been wrapped by now, Kevin. I want to point that out.
All right, let's go.
Right,
All
but
right,
no, I just got to say
done.
we got the epic voice guy coming up, who's actually voicing Soundwave, I believe, in the Transformers 1 that's coming up. So we've got him coming up on the quest. Should be right after this one.
You know what?
I really look, Kevin, stop.
Hard out. Fuck y'all. All right, we're done.
Wait, no, we're not. Well, shit, we are.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.